Every anime viewer had to start somewhere, had to begin getting into anime by some sort of mechanisms or ways. Me, I personally grew up with it. It was on the TV. I was watching Naruto, Dragon Ball since I was born, One Piece. However, some people, they didn't have the same opportunities as me. They were watching Breaking Bad and shit, like those old people shows. But me, I was watching anime from when I was born, the day I was born. Now understand me this. What do we say to those people who want to watch anime today? The people who want to start today. I'm going to help those people out with my comprehensive list of one show that will help you begin watching anime. So, what I have here to tell you today is that the first show you should watch as a new anime viewer, somebody who wants to get into anime and become a certified weeaboo, an anime fan. I'm here to tell you that you should start your journey with Death Note. This is a very basic and common answer that probably 90% of anime watchers will give you as a first recommendation. And the reason for this is because it is the GOAT, one of the greatest shows you can ever watch without even caring about anime or some bullshit. Like, you won't get none of the nasty, weird shit. You won't get none of the odd stuff that you don't want to see. All right, it's just pure fucking action gameplay right there. All right, there's no fighting or shit. If you don't want to see the big colors and explosions and you can't get into that, don't worry, because that might not be in it either. Death Note is a very simplistic yet intelligent show for individuals like myself. However, however, if Death Note looks too old, or you want some fighting, or you want some action, my second recommendation would actually be Mob Psycho 100 or One Punch Man. These are two very basic and simple shows that any new watcher will very easily get into. Mob Psycho 100 is just a personal favorite of mine because of the beautiful story and the beautiful action displayed. And Death Note, well, Death Note's the GOAT. And One Punch Man, I mean, everybody and their mother watched One Punch Man when it came out, even people that didn't know what anime was. So, I mean, it would probably do the same for you today, to be honest with you. Um, but my number one recommendation will still be Death Note because Death Note, I mean, what can I say? I mean, it's Death Note. I mean, if you understand the intricacies of Death Note, you understand that this is the greatest show to recommend to a new watcher. This is just the potato chip scene. That's just what it's gonna be, the potato chip scene. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get with the memes too, Death Note's a great option. You won't be seeing much memes from those, you know, actually, you probably will see memes from all the shows, but the OG memes, you know what I'm saying? So, Death Note, that's the greatest. The reason I'm not going to recommend Naruto or Dragon Ball Z or One Piece is because who's going to sit there and watch that, especially as a first show? Unless you're a teenager or like below the age of 12, you don't really got the time to be watching. I mean, maybe you do actually. You know what? It doesn't matter. All right. Those shows are just too long, too much of a commitment for somebody who wants to get into a show today. One Piece 2, the first 30 episodes are just a load of nonsense. And then we get to Arlong Park and I start twisting and jerking it. The Baratier. Dragon Ball Z, I mean, you could get that, but like, you want to, like, watch just fighting all day, every day for like 700 episodes, I think a new fan would not want to commit to that. You know what I'm saying? And Naruto, fuck Naruto. All right. I mean, not fuck Naruto because that's what I started with. But for a new fan, that ain't the way. Just stick to the short, simplistic shows. Maybe even some Jujutsu Kaisen or some shit. The simple, just fighting and action, and then you can get into the other shit once you feel like committed. Like maybe once you start liking 5 shows, you can start watching Naruto or some shit if you really want to. I mean, you genuinely don't have to watch that show. I like it, but shit is long. What is it? 500 episodes. That's just a big commitment. And then One Piece 1,000, and then Dragon Ball. Fuck, who knows how many? 750 or some shit. I don't even know. They're super. I don't even know actually. Dragon Ball's too long. Well, One Piece is longer. Well, fuck. I'm just going on tangents now. I don't know what else to talk about, but Death Note is the number one option. Number two option, Mob Psycho. Number three option, give it a little cheeky One Punch Man. You know, those are three great options for a beginner anime fan. If you want to get into anime, you know, I suggest those three. Those are the three that I would recommend to a complete beginner because they're very easy to digest and very easy to get into. And they're great, great stories. You know, great stories, great shows. One Punch Man is not as great of a story. I mean, it's just fucking lethal, just One Punch Man. You know, he's the One Punch Man. But the other two, great stories. You know, there's like a cat and mouse chase in Death Note. You know, it's unlike anything you will ever see, or ever see again. Another great third option could be something like Code Geass. That's a great one. The only reason I don't recommend those shows initially to a new person is because they're just older. You know, a newer fan today may not want to go back in time and watch an older show because it just looks old. It's 2000s anime. Even Death Note might look old to someone that wants to start today. That's why I give Mob Psycho as a backup option because of the wild colors and the explosions. You know, that shit would drag anybody in. So, but I'd still first recommend Death Note because the story is just that great. The show is just that great that it will drag in anybody. I really had nothing to talk about today. So I just pulled some shit out my ass. I'm not gonna lie to you. And my one eye doesn't even open all the way, which is just pissing me off. It's pissing me off. Just one of them's just a little more closed than the other, and it's just getting on my nerves. You know what I'm saying? Today was just a bad day. Today was just a bad day, and there's nothing you can do about bad days, but I wish I could change something about this bad day, you know what I'm saying? So, Death Note. Watch Death Note as a new fan. You won't regret it. You know, you might even get yourself a bag of potato chips, you know, and start recreating the scenes yourself, you know. Because of Death Note, I went and bought myself a Death Note, you know, back in the day. You know, and I started putting people's names in it. I'm not gonna lie. You know, some people that piss me off, I would just write their names in my fucking Death Note. You know, and I just hope something would happen. You know, I know that's fucked up to say, but you know, I write their names in the Death Note. I didn't even explain anything about Death Note, but I think that's the best way to watch it. If you want to get into Death Note, you should watch it completely dry, completely raw. Don't go no spoilers. Don't even know what it's about. Don't even know what Death Note's about because honestly, that's the best way to experience. That's how I experienced it. I went into it. I didn't even know nothing. I didn't know there was a book. I didn't know there was a person. I didn't know the names. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know if it was fighting. I didn't know it could have been pornography. For all I knew, I didn't know nothing. So the best way to experience it is that way, though. You should experience it in a completely raw, unknown manner because that just makes it that much better, you know. So yeah, you should definitely get into that as a new fan. Recommend one. Thank you very much for watching. I know this was a very poor video, low energy. However, there is no however. Fuck that. Watch Death Note. Light shit, real shit. If you want to watch anime, Death Note, Mob Psycho, One Punch Man, the three easiest digestible shows, which I would recommend as top tier shows. Thank you very much. I mean, One Punch Man season 2 is kind of mid, but season 1 will get you into anime. So, those are the three I would recommend. Have a great night, great year. Thanks for listening to some guy